Hello and welcome to Math 141, Calculus 1 here in the summer of 2020 at the University of South Carolina. My name is Bailey Heath. I am so excited to be your teaching assistant this summer, to work with you all and get to know you. I am so excited to work with the instructor, Mackenzie Black. Mackenzie is a great friend of mine, as I'll talk more about in a minute. And of course, I'm so excited to work with my good friend Calculus 1. I've been a TA for Calculus 2 the past 2 semesters, and I'm excited to get back to Calculus 1 and catch up with our good old friend here. So before we jump into the math this summer, I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about myself, as well as kind of give you a summary of my expectations, what you can expect from me, and a few thoughts as well on how to be successful in this admittedly kind of unusual course now that we are online this summer. So like I said, my name is Bailey Heath. My first name is actually Jason. I go by my middle name. My father's name is Jason. So he's Jason, I'm Bailey. I'm not a junior because we have different last names, but in any case, I use the pronouns he, him, his. And my name in the email directory is Heath, Jason B, because our email directory likes to yell at you. So if you get an email from this person that is me, please just call me Bailey. I'm not sure if you have called other TAs by their first names, if you called them Mr. whatever, Miss whatever, but I would certainly feel most comfortable if you would just call me Bailey. That would be fantastic. Just like Mackenzie, I just finished my first year as a math PhD student here. So while Mackenzie studies applied math, which is very useful and practical, I study pure math, which is the abstract, useless nonsense. I think it's really fascinating. I love studying in theory, while Mackenzie loves studying things which are applicable to the real world. There's a fabulous joke which goes, which of the following is not like the others? A PhD in pure mathematics, a PhD in applied mathematics, a PhD in statistics, and a large pepperoni pizza. You would think the answer is the large pepperoni pizza, of course. However, the answer is a PhD in pure mathematics because the others can all feed a family of 4. Oof! Ouch! Okay. So I really love, in particular, the subjects of algebra and number theory. So this algebra is a bit more complicated than just x minus 2 equals 5 solved for x. It's very abstract and, in many cases, admittedly, seemingly useless to the real world. But I think it's really interesting. And number theory boils down to the study of the positive integers. So these are probably my 2 favorite branches of math to study, and I hope to be a professor someday. So as I hope you'll see this summer, I'm really excited about teaching. So yeah, that's why I'm here in a PhD program, so I can hopefully be a professor someday. And perhaps most excitingly, I am Mackenzie's office mate. So whenever we are on campus, we both live in LeConte 400K, along with one other graduate student. But this summer, unfortunately, well, this summer we are sharing the same virtual office. So yeah, that's yeah. So there we are in our office, being crazy little graduate students. Okay. So I'll go through this quickly. I know this isn't super important. So I was born in Charleston, but I don't really remember it. I moved to Atlanta whenever I was a baby. Then I moved to Hilton Head when I was still a toddler. Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, that is. I lived there until the middle of 7th grade. So I would say this is really where I grew up, where I spent most of my childhood. So for many years, this was home to me. I spent a year and a half in Ponte Vedra, Florida, before moving to Hummelstown, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Hershey, Pennsylvania. So this is Hershey Park here. Tons of roller coasters. Hershey is where they make the chocolate. Yes, Hershey's chocolate. And Hershey Park here, for context, is about a 5-minute drive from my house in Pennsylvania. And then last August, I moved here to Columbia, where hopefully I will be for a few years here getting my PhD. So here a little bit less than a year now. So I can't believe that this is a full year ago. Wow. But I graduated from Gettysburg College last year with a double major in mathematics and psychology. Those were probably, I loved it there so much. Gettysburg is very different from South Carolina. Only 2,700 students there total, all undergraduates. So it's a very different feel. But I'm also loving it here in Columbia. There, I spent 3 years as a peer learning associate, which is basically just a teaching assistant. It's the same thing. I was a TA for Calc 2 for 1 semester, for Abstract Mathematics 1 for 5 semesters, and I also was a TA for a math research course for 2 semesters, which is very exciting. So that's really where I found a love for teaching math. I also worked as a resident assistant for 2 years, and then my senior year I was a residence coordinator. So resident assistant is University of South Carolina calls them resident mentors, I think, RMs. And it's the same thing basically. My senior year then as a residence coordinator, I was basically I was an RA and I supervised other RAs. I was a member of our honor commission, which is basically the student-run group at Gettysburg, which adjudicates honor code issues there and promotes academic integrity. Gettysburg College is very big on its honor code, so it was really cool to be a part of that organization for all 4 years, including being one of the 2 co-chairs for a couple of years. And, oh, well, I should mention, so academic integrity is something which is very important to me. So please make sure that you review Mackenzie's expectations regarding academic integrity this summer. And not only did I supervise math research, I got to do a little bit of math research of my own. That was in the field of additive combinatorics, which is very abstract mathematics. And with that, I got to go to conferences in Chicago, in Denver, Philadelphia, as well as a couple of on-campus presentations at Gettysburg. So that was really fascinating. They different organizations paid me to go give presentations at conferences, which is cool to get some free travel basically. I also did some research in psychology. In particular, I studied aggression with Dr. Chris Bartlett, who is the world's leading researcher in cyberbullying. And I got a few publications out of that, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Gettysburg College, I really loved it there. And when I say that I want to be a professor someday, what I really mean is I want to be a professor at Gettysburg someday. I love it at U of SC for now, but as a professor, I'd love to be at a small school like Gettysburg. So now that I am a Gamecock, I have been for the past year, I am joining a long line of Gamecocks here in my family. So both of my parents here, this is my mom, my dad, they met here whenever they went to school here for undergrads. My grandmother is also an alum, which means that I'm a 3rd generation Gamecock. My brother Tyler here, he just finished up his sophomore year. He is a hospitality major. And my brother Noah here, he is 13 and hopes to be a Gamecock sometime in the next few years as a baseball player. So we'll see. But so yeah, although I'm kind of from Pennsylvania, University of South Carolina has also kind of always been, going here has always kind of been a dream of mine. So it's pretty cool to be here now. When I'm not doing math, which isn't much, I'm a big baseball fan, big baseball nerd. I played all the way through high school, so there's a picture of me whenever I was younger and more athletic. I also love following the major leagues, so this whole quarantine business has been sad that has been put on hold. Big Red Sox and Phillies fan, I inherited both of those from my family. I also love listening to music. I am always listening to music, usually with these guys. These blue headphones of mine. This is like my 4th or 5th pair of these because I love them so much. So every time that I wear one out, I just order a new pair. So I love them so much. My Favorite bands are probably Imagine Dragons, 21 Pilots, John Bellion, and AJR. Although really, I love a whole bunch of artists. These probably are my favorite four. This picture here, Imagine Dragons came to Hershey, just 5 minutes from my house on my 21st birthday, which was pretty cool. So my dad got me tickets to the concert. I don't drink, but I still got a wristband which said that I was 21, so I got to carry a drink for my dad. So that was pretty cool. I'm also I also like playing PlayStation. MLB The Show, which is kind of the standard baseball game for PlayStation. I've also recently gotten into Crash Team Racing. I played Crash Nitro Kart as a kid, and this is basically just a reboot of that. So I've been getting into that recently and probably spending a little bit too much time doing that. But yeah, that's what I like to do whenever I am not doing math. But now, let's talk about math. And in particular, I want to go through all these things are outlined in my syllabus. I'm really just kind of hitting the highlights here. So first, let me talk about my role here. Basically, my job this summer is to help you succeed. Okay, so my job is to help you succeed in this class. So please communicate with me about how I can do this. In a moment, we'll talk a little bit about what you can expect out of recitation basically, but I would love as much input from you as possible so that this can be you holding up this A+ paper, except it's online, so like you'll be holding up an A+ laptop screen or something, I don't know. But tell me how I can help you succeed in this course. Diving into the details a little bit more. So what you can expect in lieu of a traditional recitation is 4 days per week, I will post a 1-hour video on my newly created YouTube channel, JBH Math. I'll also post those links on Blackboard. You should see the calendar on my calendar on my syllabus for specific dates. I toyed around with this for quite some time because I wanted to balance giving you enough time to ask questions. So actually, let me go ahead real quick and finish this slide, and then I'll talk about that. Mostly, you can expect example problems in those videos, and it would be fantastic if you all could send me requests via email, or I have a form on Blackboard if you would prefer to use that, which you can do anonymously. That link is also in the syllabus. You should by no means have any reason to feel scared or embarrassed to ask a question, but I do understand that sometimes people feel that way, so I wanted to give you that option as well. I do ask that you please send those by 5 p.m. the day before the corresponding video is posted. So for example, if you have a 1.4 question, I would love that by the night before that video is posted at 5 p.m. That way I have time to make the video and make sure that I include that question. If you don't have questions and don't send me things, that's fine. I will come up with problems of my own, which will probably be related to homework problems. But of course, you will get the most out of it if you tell me what you want to see. So going back to the calendar, I toyed around with this for a while because I was trying to balance giving you time to ask me questions and covering everything before the exams, right? So it wouldn't make any sense for me to cover a topic the same day that Mackenzie does, because then that wouldn't give you enough time to ask me questions. So we'll usually be about a day or two behind Mackenzie's videos in terms of our content. But I also wanted to make sure that we squeezed everything in before the exam. So that's why my schedule isn't quite as consistent as regular as Mackenzie's, so that we can have this extra flexibility. Support. So I have never once gone through a full math class without needing help. Heck, I can't even go through homework assignments without needing help at least once, whether it's from a professor, a classmate, somebody. So if you need help, by all means, that is normal. All of you are probably going to need help at some point. So do not feel bad, and reach out for help whenever you need it. There are so many people and resources who are here for you. Perhaps the best resource is going to be your classmates. I know that my classmates have bailed me out so many times. We have a group chat among all the graduates, the first year graduate students. So we're always talking about homework problems. So I think if you all wanted to do something similar, that could be a great idea. Communicate about this class. And again, I talked about this earlier, but see Mackenzie's syllabus for expectations regarding collaboration. Okay. She also talked about it in her introduction video. Office hours. So I have one office hour every week. They are not scheduled at a regular time, again, because I'm trying to toy around with the schedule and make it as effective as possible. So see the calendar on my syllabus for those specific dates. Mackenzie also has office hours. She has 3 per week, and hers are on a regular schedule. So see the syllabus for those details as well. You, of course, can also set up an appointment to meet with us outside of those predetermined times. Just let us know, and we would be glad to do that. The link to office hours can be found in my syllabus or on Blackboard. 2 other resources include the Math Tutoring Center and the Student Success Center. Both of these are online this summer. Both of them are totally free and are other resources. The Math Tutoring Center has other graduate students in math who are prepared to answer your questions during certain times. I have the links to both of those resources in my syllabus, so you can see those for more details. Again, let me just highlight that everything here that you see is 100% free. So take advantage of them. You will probably need help at least once. Finally, let me close by sharing a few thoughts about how to be successful in this class. My first recommendation is to actively pay attention to the videos. What do I mean by that? I mean that this past semester, whenever we transitioned online, I had a bad habit of finding myself doing other work while my classes were happening, the lectures were happening online. And I found that whenever I went to do the homework, I just thought, I have no idea how to do this. No idea. So pay attention to the videos. I promise you will benefit from it. Taking notes would be one way to do that. You don't have to do that, but find some way to make yourself pay attention. It would also be helpful to minimize your distractions. So cell phones, put them on Do Not Disturb. I recommend closing the other tabs on your computer. Whatever is going to help you focus, I think, would be the most beneficial to you. Ask questions. Like I said, I am always asking questions. Mackenzie is always asking questions. She and I always are working together on our homework for our shared classes. So please ask questions. I promise you are not dumb. I promise I do not think that you are dumb for asking. I have felt dumb so many times. So please just ask. I would so much rather answer your question than to have you not learn the material. So please ask questions. I strongly encourage you to read the textbook. This is kind of unpopular among calculus students, which I understand. The textbook can be kind of dense. However, I do think that the more perspectives you get, the better. And so watching Mackenzie's explanations, as well as reading the textbook, gives you more perspectives, which is always going to be a good thing. The textbook can also have some great examples. You don't need to know every detail from the textbook, right? And so if there is something that's super complicated and weird, you can ask about it, but certain things you may not need to know, right? So the super intense details, depending on the situation, you may not need to know everything, so don't freak out if there are little bits of it that you miss. And finally, the biggest piece of advice that I can give, as Allen Iverson would say, we are talking about practice. Practice, practice, practice. Reading is great. Watching videos is great. But unless you are sitting down and actually doing problems and solving problems yourself, you're going to be in trouble. It is very different to watch somebody do a problem. So like to watch me do a problem and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I understand what you're saying. versus creating a solution for yourself. Those are two very different things. Okay? So just because you can follow along with me or Mackenzie doesn't necessarily mean that you can create solutions by yourself. So make sure that you're also practicing on your own so that you develop those skills to create your own solutions. So that's everything that I wanted to say for now. Please stay in touch. Let me know how I can help you this summer. Again, my role here is to help you succeed. Okay, so please let me know how I can do that. Send me questions. Send me problems to do. I'm really excited to get to know and work with you guys. And I'll see you in my next video.